I was in the middle of a long shift when the knock came on my office door. I looked up, and there he was, a man in a crisp suit, holding a leather briefcase and a thin smile that carried a hint of arrogance. "Mr. Anderson?" he asked. I nodded. He stepped forward and set a folder on my desk. "You've been served." My stomach twisted when I saw the words, divorce papers. My wife, Melissa, hadn't said a single word to me at home, not a hint, not even an argument. And yet here, I was, blindsided at work, treated like some stranger being handed his sentence. I remember staring at that folder for what felt like forever. The lawyer didn't leave right away. He stood there as if he expected me to explode, maybe beg, maybe break. Instead, I leaned back in my chair and asked calmly, "That's it? Just dropping this off?" He raised an eyebrow and smirked. "She believes this is the cleanest way forward. She'll be seeking the house, alimony, and half your retirement. I'd advise you to take this seriously." Then he turned and left without another word. The moment he was gone, I opened the papers. Melissa was accusing me of being controlling, unfaithful, emotionally distant, all lies stacked neatly to justify her case. But what she didn't realize was that I already knew about her affair. I had known for weeks. I had quietly collected proof, late-night photos of her car parked outside his apartment, screenshots of her texts, and even security footage from our own home showing her sneaking him in when she thought I was working late. She thought she had the upper hand by blindsiding me. What she didn't know was that I was prepared. For 3 nights before those papers landed on my desk, I had been assembling an envelope of my own. Inside were copies of everything. The photos, the texts, even financial records showing money she had drained from our joint account to spend on her new lover. I kept that envelope in my drawer at work, waiting for the right moment. And when her lawyer showed up that morning, that moment arrived. An hour after he left, I called his office and asked if I could meet him in person to discuss terms. He sounded pleased, confident that I was already folding under pressure. That same afternoon, I walked into his downtown office, calm as ever, carrying the envelope under my arm. He greeted me with that same smug smile and ushered me into a conference room. "Mr. Anderson," he began, "we can make this easier for everyone if you just agree to my client's requests." I let him talk. He went on about how Melissa deserved financial security, how she had given her best years to the marriage, how the court would side with her. He leaned back in his chair as though the case was already won. That's when I slid the envelope across the table. "What's this?" he asked, frowning. "Open it," I said. He pulled out the documents one by one. His confident expression began to fade as he flipped through the photos of Melissa in another man's arms, the transcripts of her late-night messages, the receipts of hotel stays charged to our joint account. By the time he reached the final page, a notarized affidavit from a private investigator confirming the affair, he was pale. This changes things," he muttered. I leaned forward. "You came to my workplace in front of my colleagues to humiliate me with lies. Now you see the truth. Your client is the one who broke the marriage. Your client committed adultery. Your client drained accounts. If this goes to court, she gets nothing. And you know it." The room fell silent. He shuffled the papers back into the envelope, his hands slightly trembling. "I'll need to discuss this with Melissa," he said quietly. "You do that," I replied, standing up. "But let her know this. She wanted a war, and she just lost before it even began." 2 days later, Melissa showed up at the house, her face tight with anger and fear. She accused me of ambushing her, of turning the tables unfairly. But I reminded her that she had been the one to betray our vows, to lie, to blindside me with legal papers at work like I was disposable. "You don't get to play the victim now," I told her. The divorce went through faster than anyone expected. With the evidence stacked against her, Melissa's lawyer advised her to settle quietly. She walked away with nothing but her personal belongings. No house, no alimony, no share of my retirement. And her affair? It didn't last long once the man she left me for realized she had no home, no money, and no stability. He disappeared, leaving her with nothing. I, on the other hand, rebuilt my life. It wasn't easy. Betrayal never is. But the day her lawyer handed me those divorce papers at work was the same day I handed him the envelope that ended her case. She thought she could destroy me in silence, but all she did was expose herself. And in the end, she learned the hard way that I wasn't a man to be blindsided, broken, or beaten. Sometimes revenge doesn't need shouting, doesn't need chaos. Sometimes it only takes one envelope.